on Goblin Reddit. Today's story is...
My husband passed away, and 3 months later my in-laws demanded my house for their favorite daughter. Her posthumous letter devastated the family and revealed her shocking plan. I am 34 years old and a woman. I recently lost my 36-year-old husband to sudden cardiac arrest. It has been an extremely difficult time for me. We were married for 12 years, and although it has been 3 months since he passed away, the pain is still very fresh. We had a beautiful 4-bedroom house in a lovely neighborhood that we worked very hard to buy about 6 years ago. My husband was extremely organized, especially with finances. He always made sure that everything was legally in order and documented. At the time, I didn't pay much attention to those details, but now, looking back, I am immensely grateful for how he took care of all that. I know this may seem irrelevant at first, but everything is connected. The relationship with my in-laws has never been close. They have always been very traditional and, to be honest, they never fully accepted me. I decided to focus on my professional career as a software engineer, something they didn't understand because they expected me to stay at home and have children. They were polite to me, but there was always this subtle tension between us. My 38-year-old sister-in-law was clearly their favorite. She is married, has 3 children, is a housewife, and basically fits perfectly into what they consider the ideal of a daughter. Things began to take a strange and unsettling turn shortly after my husband's funeral. At first, my in-laws seemed genuinely sympathetic. They brought food, helped with the arrangements, and even offered words of comfort. For a brief moment, I thought that perhaps this was the beginning of a better relationship with them, that maybe in the face of such a profound loss we could find some common ground, but that hope quickly faded. Barely a week after the funeral, they turned up at my door unannounced, and the tone of their visit was completely different to what I had expected. My father-in-law, 65, began with a speech about how the family should stick together in difficult times, and how they had been thinking of the best for everyone. Initially, I thought that perhaps they were offering some kind of reconciliation or trying to comfort me in a sincere way. For a brief moment, I even allowed myself to believe that they were finally showing some understanding and compassion after so many years of tension. But then the conversation took a turn I could never have anticipated. Suddenly, they made a shocking proposal. My in-laws told me I should do the right thing and give the house to my sister-in-law and her family. They argued that as she has 3 young children, aged 8, 6 and 4, they needed the space much more than I did. They pointed out that I was just one person living in a big house and suggested that I move into my sister-in-law's 2-bedroom apartment. And to make matters worse, they even had the audacity to suggest that I should pay them rent as part of this arrangement. According to them, this is what my husband would have wanted. I was completely stunned. Their words were like a slap in the face. I couldn't believe they could be so insensitive and cold. I felt totally surprised and deeply hurt. It had only been days since I lost my husband, the person with whom I had built a life for 12 years, and already his family was trying to take away the home we had created together. It was as if my pain didn't matter to them at all. When I refused to consider their proposal, the situation escalated rapidly. They began to make outrageous claims, saying that, as my husband was their son, they had the right to decide what happened to his property. They accused me of being selfish and of not respecting his memory by not helping my sister-in-law. My mother-in-law even began to cry, saying that I was destroying the family and dishonoring my husband's wishes. I couldn't understand how they could behave like that. I felt that they were completely indifferent to my pain. All the suffering I was going through, the only thing they seemed to care about was what they could take away from me, as if my feelings didn't count for anything. Losing my husband was already the hardest thing I had ever faced in my life, and now his family was adding to that pain, treating me as an obstacle to their plans. I was devastated, furious, and completely overwhelmed. The way they acted made it clear that they didn't care about justice or decency at all. They were determined to get what they wanted no matter how much they hurt me in the process. But it didn't end there. The harassment only got worse over time. 4 days on, and they would turn up at my house unannounced, ringing the doorbell and banging on the door as if they had every right to be there. If I didn't answer, they would call me repeatedly, sometimes one call after another until I felt I couldn't escape them. They also started involving other members of the family. People I hadn't spoken to in years suddenly started contacting me, telling me that I should think of the children and do the right thing by giving up the house. I felt like they were trying to wear me down from all angles, using guilt and pressure to get their way. The worst was my sister-in-law's behavior. She started posting passive-aggressive messages on social media, clearly aimed at me. Things like some people have no heart, and family should look after family. It was such a blatant attempt to paint me as the villain, and it hurt deeply. Not only because it was unfair, but because I was already struggling to keep it together after losing my husband. Instead of supporting me, they were trying to bring me down even further. Every knock on the door, every call, every message robbed me of what little peace I had left. I constantly felt on edge, waiting for the next attack. It was exhausting and emotionally devastating. Finally, I realized that I couldn't go on living like this. I was already dealing with unimaginable pain, and his behavior was pushing me to the limit. That's when I knew I had to act. I needed to protect myself, not only from his claims on the house, but from the relentless stress and manipulation to which I was being subjected. I decided it was time to seek professional advice, so I contacted my husband's lawyer. As soon as I explained the situation to him, he wasted no time in organizing a meeting with my in-laws. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I hoped that it would finally put an end to his behavior. What I didn't imagine was how prepared my husband had been for something like this. When my in-laws arrived at the meeting, the lawyer got straight to the point. He began by explaining the legal facts about the house. He informed them that the property was fully paid for and jointly owned by my husband and me with something called right of survivorship. That meant that when my husband passed away, ownership of the house automatically transferred to me. There was no legal loophole, no gray area. The house was rightfully mine without question. Then he went one step further and produced my husband's will. Apparently, my husband had updated it just a year before, making it very clear that all his possessions should pass to me and that his family should not challenge it. Hearing this left my in-laws visibly shocked. But that was not all. The lawyer then showed detailed records that my husband had kept over the years. He had documented every occasion on which his parents had tried to interfere in our financial decisions. He had notes about the times they had pressured him into making large purchases, such as buying them a holiday home, and even cases in which they had tried to meddle in our plans for the future. My husband had been more aware of their behavior than I had realized and had taken swift action to protect me. The biggest surprise came when the solicitor handed them a letter, one that my husband had written and specifically asked to be shared only if his family tried to contest the will or harass me after his death. In the letter, my husband expressed his feelings with complete frankness. He wrote about how deeply disappointed he would be if his parents ever acted in this way towards me. He reminded them how much he loved me and how important it was to him that I be treated with respect and kindness, especially in his absence. It was as if he had anticipated exactly what they might try to do and had made sure they could not manipulate the situation to their advantage. The room fell completely silent after the lawyer finished. My in-laws looked completely taken aback, and for the first time, they had nothing to say. It was clear that my husband's words had struck a chord, and I could only hope that they would finally understand how wrong their behavior had been. For me, hearing how much effort my husband had put into protecting me aroused a mixture of emotions: pain, love, and an overwhelming feeling of gratitude. Even in his absence, he was defending me, and that gave me the strength to move forward. What shocked my in-laws the most was when the lawyer revealed that my husband had set up a trust for the education of my sister-in-law's children. But there was an important condition. The trust would be canceled if her family ever tried to pressure me about any of their assets after his death. The lawyer made it clear that their behavior was considered harassment, and that if they did not stop, they would risk losing the trust for their grandchildren and could even face legal consequences. That seemed to silence them for a while, but it was a stark reminder of how far they were willing to go to try to control everything, even after my husband was no longer with us. Since the meeting with the lawyer, I have not heard from my in-laws. My sister-in-law deleted their social media posts, and now they have all blocked me on all platforms. Some members of the extended family have reached out to apologize, saying they had no idea of the full situation and did not realize how far my in-laws' behavior had gone. It is strange to receive these apologies, but at least some of them seem to be recognizing what has really been going on. At the moment, I have mixed feelings. On the one hand, I am relieved that my husband took steps to protect me even after his death. I am grateful that he made sure that his family did not put pressure on me, but at the same time, it breaks my heart that his family turned on me so quickly. I feel like they didn't care at all and only saw me as someone to be manipulated for their own benefit. I thought they would be more understanding, especially after everything I had been through, but instead they made this already difficult time even more painful. I can't help but wonder if I could have handled it differently. Maybe I could have tried to talk to them before going to the lawyer, but honestly, the pressure and the feelings of guilt were so overwhelming that I don't know if I could have done much more without completely falling apart. Was it too harsh to involve the lawyer? It seems like the right decision now, but it also makes me feel like I have lost even more than just my husband. This whole situation has made the pain even harder to bear. I miss him so much, and dealing with his family's behavior just adds another layer of pain that I wasn't prepared for. Update 1. Hello everyone. It's been a few days since I shared what happened and, honestly, I have been overwhelmed by all the support and kindness I have received from so many of you. First of all, I want to thank everyone who took the time to comment and reach out. Your thoughtful words and advice have really helped me feel less alone during such a difficult time. I'm really glad I listened to those who suggested taking extra precautions for my safety. It wasn't something I would have initially given much thought to, but now that I have, I feel much more at ease. The first thing I did was to change all the locks on the house. It's one of those details that seems small, but it has given me a sense of control and security that I desperately needed. I also installed a camera for the doorbell, and honestly, I wish I had done it sooner. It's a relief to be able to see who's at the door without having to open it, and it's especially useful now when I feel a little nervous. Fortunately, my in-laws haven't shown up again, but just knowing that I have these security measures gives me some peace of mind. It's one less worry in the midst of all this chaos. Of course, just when I was starting to feel a little more stable, I received a letter from my in-laws' lawyer. I knew something like this would come eventually. If there is one thing that characterizes my in-laws, it is their persistence, but even so, it managed to unsettle me. In the letter, they claimed that they had a right to the house because, according to them, it was a family purchase. Reading that made my blood boil. It's such a blatant lie. My husband and I worked hard to buy this house together. We saved for years, and we did it with our own money. There was no family involvement, financial or otherwise. The house was our dream, something we built together, and for them to try to rewrite history like that is simply outrageous. I forwarded the letter to my lawyer immediately, and fortunately he was quick to reassure me. He told me that their claims were completely unfounded and had no legal basis whatsoever. He advised me not to worry and that he would take care of everything, which was a great relief. Even so, it's hard not to feel affected when they continue to attack me in this way. It seems that they are trying to wear me down, hoping that I will eventually give in and yield to their demands. But I have made my decision. I will not let them win. This is my home, and I will not allow them to intimidate me into leaving it. On the other hand, some of you had asked about the trust that my husband set up for his nieces and nephews, and after seeing your comments, I decided to look into it a little more with my lawyer. What I found out honestly made me cry. My husband had set aside $100,000 for each of the children to use for their education. It's such a generous and thoughtful thing to do, and it really shows how much he cared about his family. Even with all the tension with his parents, he wanted to make sure that his nieces and nephews had the opportunity to build a better future for themselves. It's just another reminder of the kind of person he was: generous, forward-thinking, and deeply loving. What is difficult to understand is how his parents could be willing to risk all that. By trying to take the house away from me, they could have jeopardized the whole trust. It is more than selfish, it is totally reckless. It's hard to believe that they would put their own greed above something as important as their grandchildren's education. It's heartbreaking and infuriating at the same time. My husband wanted so much for his family, and it's painful to see how little they value his wishes. But no matter what they do, I am determined to honor him and protect what he worked so hard to create, both for me and for those children. I recently found out something else that increased my frustration. My husband's best friend told me that my in-laws have been spreading rumors about me, saying that I caught them red-handed with legal actions. According to them, they were just trying to help and I overreacted. It's really upsetting because that's not even close to the truth. They're trying to present themselves as victims when all I've done is defend myself against their ridiculous lawsuits. It feels so unfair, but at this point I guess I shouldn't be surprised by anything they do. The silver lining in all of this is my husband's best friend. He's been incredibly supportive. Not only has he been there for me emotionally, but he's also been calling out their lies. He has even shown people screenshots of my sister-in-law's old deleted social media posts. The ones where she criticized me and tried to make me feel guilty. Thanks to him, people are seeing through her false narrative. I can't even put into words how much I appreciate him for standing up for me. It's comforting to know that not everyone is buying her side of the story and that I have people on my side. Emotionally, however, this whole situation has been exhausting. In every corner of the house, I see reminders of my husband and the life we built together. We put so much love and effort into this place. Like those weekends we spent doing little renovations, or how we carefully chose furniture and decorations that reflected our personality. This house was our refuge, our sanctuary. Now, those beautiful memories are tarnished by everything his family has done, and it's such a difficult mix of emotions to process. I want to focus on the love and happiness we shared, but the anger and pain of his betrayal keep coming up. Despite everything, I'm doing my best to move on. I've decided I'm not going to let them ruin this house for me. This is my home, and I am reclaiming it piece by piece. I have started to reorganize some rooms and make small changes here and there to help it feel like my own space again. I bought some fresh flowers for the living room, which has actually brightened up the space more than I expected. I also put up new curtains in the kitchen, and they have completely transformed the feel of the room. It's a small thing, but it feels like progress. Every small step feels like a victory, no matter how insignificant. It's bittersweet. On the one hand, it's difficult to make changes to a place that holds so many memories of my husband, but on the other hand, it's helping me find some normality and control in the midst of all this chaos. It's like getting my life back piece by piece. It's not easy, and I still have very difficult days, but I am determined not to let the actions of his family overshadow the life we built together. I owe it to myself and to him to move forward, even if it's one step at a time. Update 2. Things have taken a completely unexpected turn, and, honestly, I'm still trying to take it all in. A few days ago, my sister-in-law's husband contacted me privately. To say it took me by surprise would be an understatement. He repeatedly apologized for everything that has happened. He admitted that he had no idea what his wife and my in-laws were planning until after they confronted me. He seemed genuinely horrified by the whole situation. Apparently, they kept him completely in the dark. When he finally found out, he was furious. He told me that there was a huge argument between him and my sister-in-law about the whole thing. He told me that he is really worried about how all this could affect his children, especially the educational trust that my husband set up for them. He asked me if there was any way to fix things and repair the damage, but I told him I needed time to think about it. I mean, how do you even begin to resolve something so complicated? It's not just about forgiveness. It's about protecting myself and honoring what my husband would have wanted. I can't make a hasty decision with so much at stake. At the same time, I have started to hear how all this drama is affecting my husband's extended family. The news is spread, and it is not benefiting his parents. 3 of his cousins have cut ties with them after learning how they treated me. I was shocked when I found out about this. The cousins got in touch to let me know that they were horrified by the actions of my in-laws and could not support what they described as blatant greed and cruelty. They also mentioned that they are upset that my in-laws are risking the children's trust fund just to try to take the house away from me. Of course, not everyone is taking sides. Some relatives are trying to remain neutral, which I can understand to a certain extent. They probably don't want to get caught in the middle of the conflict, but a few still believe my in-laws' distorted version. It's frustrating, but I can't control what people choose to believe. All I can do is stay true to the truth and let the facts speak for themselves. I never wanted any of this to cause a rift in the family. I have already lost so much, and now I feel like the consequences of this situation are affecting everyone. But at the same time, it's hard not to feel like my in-laws brought this on themselves. They made their choices repeatedly, and now they are facing the consequences. It's sad to see relationships fall apart like this, especially knowing how much my husband cared about his family. But at the end of the day, his actions were selfish, and this is the result of his own behavior. Right now, I'm just trying to take it all one step at a time. I don't want to rush into decisions or do something I might regret later. It's complicated. I need to protect myself while also figuring out what's best for the future. One thing is certain, however, this whole mess has shown me who I can count on and who really supports me. And for that, I am grateful. In the meantime, my lawyer sent a forceful response to my in-laws' claims, making it clear that their arguments were completely unfounded and warning them that any further harassment would result in legal action. Since that letter was sent, I haven't heard a word from them. And while the silence is a relief, it also serves as a reminder of how toxic everything has become. I'm hopeful that they finally got the message, but I'm still cautious. The locks have been changed, and the camera on the doorbell gives me additional security. For the first time in weeks, I can breathe a little easier, and it feels like a small victory. I've also started seeing a therapist, and honestly, it's been one of the best decisions I've made during all of this. Talking to someone neutral has really helped me to process everything that has happened. My therapist reminded me that it's okay to cry not only for my husband, but also for the relationship I thought I had with his family. It's hard to admit, but in a way, I feel like I've lost them too, especially my sister-in-law, with whom I had a good relationship, even though they have shown that they were never really on my side. That loss hurts, but accepting it has been an important part of my healing process. Even so, I can't shake the weight of everything that has happened. My sister-in-law's husband's apology has left me with mixed feelings. On the one hand, I appreciate his honesty and his willingness to face the situation. He is clearly trying to do what is best for his children, and I can't blame him for that. But on the other hand, it's hard to separate him from the damage that his wife and my in-laws have caused. Should he consider some kind of agreement for the sake of the children, or would that just open the door to more problems in the future? I don't want to punish the children for what their parents have done, but at the same time, I need to protect myself and my peace of mind. It's a difficult balance to strike, and I'm not sure what the right decision is. As for the family split, I have mixed feelings. Part of me feels guilty that my actions, however justified, have contributed to the growing divide within the family. But another part of me knows that my in-laws are responsible for their own actions. They chose to prioritize greed over decency, and now they are facing the consequences. I am doing my best to focus on the support I am receiving from the people who truly care about me. My husband's best friend, his supportive cousins, and even strangers who have reached out online have all reminded me that I am not alone in this. It's comforting to know that there are people who see the situation for what it is and are here to support me. At the end of the day, I'm just trying to take things one step at a time. This journey has been overwhelming, and there are still so many unanswered questions, but right now, I'm focusing on finding strength in the small victories. And I'm holding on to the hope that better days are ahead. I know it will take time to heal and work through everything, but I'm doing my best to keep moving forward, no matter how slow or difficult it may seem. Update 3. Hi everyone, after much reflection, I have finally made a decision about how I want to move forward, and it feels right for me. With your help and the help of the few people in my life that I trust, I have taken a big step towards healing, but I am doing it on my own terms. I sent an email to my in-laws and my sister-in-law, clearly setting out my boundaries. I informed them that I am willing to maintain a relationship with the children through their father, and that the educational trust that my husband established for them will remain intact as long as they respect my boundaries and stop trying to claim my house or other assets. My sister-in-law's husband responded positively, which was a relief. He thanked me for my willingness to maintain the children's trust and assured me that he would make sure that my boundaries were respected. However, my in-laws' response was much colder. They sent me a brief email saying that they needed time to process everything. Honestly, that's fine with me. I've realized that I don't need to rush any decisions or try to force relationships that aren't healthy. My counselor has helped me understand that setting boundaries is not selfish. In fact, it is necessary for my well-being. My husband's best friend and his wife have been an incredible source of support throughout all of this. They come over for dinner once a week, and it is so comforting to be able to share stories and memories of my husband with people who loved him as much as I did. Their presence has meant the world to me, especially during those moments when I felt like I was carrying everything alone. They have also been very proactive in offering their help in case my in-laws try something again. Although I hope that doesn't happen. Their friendship has been a lifeline, reminding me that I am not alone in this. From a legal point of view, I have taken some additional measures to protect myself. My lawyer helped me update my own will and make sure that all my important documents were in order. It is not something I expected to deal with at this point in my life, but it has given me peace of mind. I have also made sure to document everything that has happened, in case I ever need it in the future. For now, things have been quiet. My in-laws haven't tried to contact me again, and I'm hoping that they finally realize that they have no legal case. I want to take a moment to thank everyone who has supported me throughout this process. Your encouragement, advice, and kindness have meant more to me than I can really express. This journey has been incredibly difficult and has sometimes felt like an uphill battle, but knowing that there are people who genuinely care about me has given me strength when I needed it most. Sometimes family isn't just about blood, it's about the people who are by your side when everything else falls apart. I am so grateful for the people who have been there for me through all of this.